All right, back with another market report. I think it's only been about a week and a half, but I've already gotten, I think, 60 plus things to report. So they add up pretty quick. So I'll just get right into it. So this was from mid-April. This was a huge sale for Werewolf by Night slash Spotlight, Marvel Spotlight 5. It's from Denmark, and it is kind of a flip book. So the Marvel Spotlight 5 is on the back cover, and the Werewolf by Night #1 cover is on the front cover. So this was actually done by Josh at International Comics. This was his sale. He was able to get CGC to slab the comic backwards. And they've said because it is a flip book, they will do this at the customer's request. I've requested they do it, I think, once, possibly twice now, and they didn't do it. So Josh got lucky because they actually did do it for his. But this sale, it's a huge sale, and nothing but props to Josh. But I'm just wondering if the buyer of this book realizes that this, there are quite a few of these books out there, and many of them are in decent condition. I know John Z from Tales from the Flip Side. He's got quite a few he's sitting on. I've got one at CGC now, and I've got another one at that I've already gotten graded that came back 6.5. So 7.0. I don't think it's gonna be top of the census for very long, but I think the appeal for this book was that it was slab backwards. But this book you could, pick up for, up to recently a few $100s. I picked one up recently for not too much money and a lot of books. But it's definitely a highly sought after book, and Denmark's not a huge country, so there might not be a ton of them out there. But they haven't been super difficult to source lately. But we'll kind of see what happens. I have a 6.5, and the one I have at CGC, I was hoping for 7.0 or more. And I was thinking I would sell my extra copy for maybe $500-600. But obviously after this sale, I definitely need to reconsider that, because if people are willing to pay $3,000, I'm not going to say no to more money. The good thing about these books from Denmark is they're printed very close to the U.S. print date, within less than a year normally. So you are buying a vintage book, and this one is definitely a big mega double key. So great sale. I know the seller's happy with that sale. I think in the long run the buyer will be happy too. They spend a lot of money, but they're kind of beating the market to the book. So we'll kind of have to just see where these books where they fall over in the future. All right, so I'm going to try and go through these fairly quickly. That was the big sale, but here we've got no particular order. First appearance of the Blob, another Newton comic with poster. Went pretty inexpensive, $73. Not a huge key, but as always, these Newtons are pretty interesting with their colors. This one just sold this weekend. Fantastic Four #1 Newton with poster. Condition wasn't anything spectacular. But sold for $880 basically. So once you ship it and pay taxes, import taxes possibly, you're looking at possibly a $950 book. We have Creepy Worlds 35, which is I believe Fantastic Four #3, where they get their costumes. This is from the UK, and this is a CBCS 5.0, sold for $260. Some other real hard to find Australian books came up for sale. This is Luke Cage #1, who's called Power Man. This one went inexpensive. I'm kind of upset I didn't bid on this one. For $81, that was a good deal in my eyes. But unfortunately I was focused on the other Yaffa that was for sale from Australia, which was, here's a Conan that went fairly inexpensive. And this one doesn't contain a poster from the publisher, so there's no poster in it. So for $134, this is a complete book. for $135. So that's a pretty good deal for a Newton #1. I'll have to show that the other Yaffa I was bidding on. I'll show in a little bit. These aren't really in any particular order. This is a Italian Milo Manara X-FORCE 5 Psylocke cover. It's a pretty sought after book. These, it's a modern Italian variant. These you can still find. I found a stack of them for $5 a piece, on a French marketplace. And people buy them. I think I sold my copies for $30 each on Instagram, but they're obviously commanding more, and this is over $100 if you include the shipping. So it might be time for me to start looking for some more of these. We've got the second edition of Giant Size X-Men 1 from Spain. So this was printed in 1993. And this is a pretty solid price, $75. These, I've only ever really seen sell for $25, $30 in the past. So $75, it's a strong sale for, basically it's not the first Giant Size X-Men in Spain. It's the second print of it. So that's a strong price for that. Here's an Italian Giant Size X-Men 1, internal only, not the cover. So this doesn't have, the Giant Size X-Men 1 cover on the book, just on the interior pages. And surprisingly, it's still sold for $110. That's a high price, for an internal only story comic. So, the tide's still kind of turning with these internal only story comics, and they're getting a premium, and they seem to only be going up. We've got a 3-pack of $298, 300, and 301. So that actually includes $299 is, I think, split between $298 and the 300 for $250. So to me, it's not a bad sale. And in the American market, these Italian 300s tend to sell for $200 to $300 just by themselves. So someone got a good deal here by getting the whole trio. We got Batman Beyond 1 German variant. So it's a different cover than the American. Sold for $150. And another same book, different variant cover, sold for $150. So these both sold on the same day, so the chances are this is probably the same buyer that bought both of these. This was kind of surprising to me. Hulk 181, 9.4 German, printed in 1999, sold for $400. These tend, if you get these from Germany, they tend to be in pretty high grade, so a 9.4 isn't, too crazy of a grade for this because it's a modern book. So $400, that's a solid sale. And then here we have a raw that sold for $200. So yeah, these books are going up, and these are pretty costly even on the German market. I've seen them sell consistently for €100 plus. So 200, it's not a bad deal for buying it on American eBay and having it shipped to America. Here we've got the Giant Size X-Men 1 from France. And this is a pretty high price for this book, $123. So that was definitely a solid sale. These have always kind of trended more in like the $60 to $75 range, up to $100. I think I've seen at some point. So $123. That's it's still creeping up. I've actually got one of these that I'm probably going to be selling soon. So I'll have to keep an eye on the prices on these. And here's another one that sold for $87. So this one went a little bit cheaper. Only 10 days apart. So this guy, this seller could have maybe waited a little bit longer, gotten full price, but still not a good deal because he probably doesn't have too much of a buy-in on that book. This is a Swedish Superman 1, sold for $600. It's a Golden Age book. CGC 4.5. The thing you got to remember with these Superman, I believe I'm pretty sure it's a lot of the European countries, but I know the Swedish #1, they came out with a new #1 every year. So just because it says, it's Superman #1, that just means it's Superman #1 for whatever year this was printed. So let's just say 1954. So then in 1955, there's another Superman #1. So I think that confuses some people and causes people to pay like a premium for the #1s, thinking that it's Superman #1 of that country. But they just, from what I've heard, they redid the #1 every year. But somebody correct me if I'm wrong about that. But that's what I've heard. Here's another Batman cover. I don't know if I showed this one or not. 370, 3 bids from 1951. I'm just not sure if that's a normal cover. It comes from an interior panel with the bat plane on fire there. This is a French-Canadian G.I. Joe. It went for $100. I'm wondering if they spelled G.I. Joe wrong, if that had something to do with maybe that seller wasn't having any luck selling it at a higher price, so they accepted less than half of their asking price. Because these heritage books from Canada, they're not easy to find, especially the keys, and they tend to go for a premium. So $100 doesn't seem like a bad price on that book. This is X-Men from Spain. I think this is one. Can't remember. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But this is like First Kitty Pryde. So it's a key book. They redrew the cover. You can see it's kind of like a weird, weird perspective going on. It looks like Wolverine's kind of hugging Colossus on the cover, and it's got his claws between Colossus's legs. Interesting drawing, but kind of a fun book for $50. So these sold at the same time. I didn't look up the best offer, but I'm assuming they were probably. I know this seller tends to not take lowball offers, so these were probably pretty close to the asking price. But Moon Knight 1 from Spain and the She-Hulk 1 from Spain, 75 and 89 best offer accepted. These She-Hulks have gotten pretty tough to find, and the Moon Knight 1, and the She-Hulk is definitely like one of the few foreigns that I feel like the art far surpasses the original American edition. These just look great in person, real colorful, all black kind of like cover with the real colorful circle in the center with the city background. So these are great books, and I think at that price was a good buy. Batman 423 Spanish, $39. Not bad for McFarlane, classic Batman cover. This was for a lot of Star Wars 1 from Spain. So this was a pretty good deal, because I've seen just the #1 sell for over $100. So here you got 5 comics direct from Spain for $80. So it's not a bad deal. I'm not exactly. It's hard to tell which exactly issues came with it, but it looks like maybe 3 are from the original Star Wars run, and then based on the movies, and then there's a couple from after when they started writing their own stories. So here's a Pence Werewolf by Night 32. This is just a UK price variant. This was printed in America and then shipped to UK. This one sold for over $1,000. So these UK price variants are keep creeping up in value. ASM 129. This is the newest Brazilian edition. So there's a total of 4 Brazilian editions. The E-Ball from that's like the earliest, I believe, from the early 70s. And then the RGE and the April, those are the 2 digest size. One's white, one's gold. And then this one is the newest one. This one was just printed probably a couple years ago. It's kind of cool cover with like the kind of distressed look with the newsprint comic in the background. But for $19, if you're building this set, you're gonna need this book. So not too bad. This is Hawkman 4 from Brazil, which uses a very strange cover. But the interior story on this does contain the first appearance of Zatanna. So it's a key book for $350, and you can't. It's not a bad deal, because I've seen people in Brazil sell raw copies for close to that amount. And it's not a high grade; it's a 4.0. But if you're looking for a copy, there it is. Very strange cover. Not really a book I'd be interested in. I'm more of a cover hunter than an interior story hunter. But something about those alligator men, just kind of weirds me out. All right, so this is the one that I said I wish I would have bid on, or that I wish I would have bid on the Luke Cage, but instead I was busy bidding on this. This is X-Men 1 by Yaffa. This is extremely rare. This is probably the second copy I've ever seen for sale since I've started collecting foreigns. And this one had a detached top staple, not in the best condition. And overall it looked fine, but the staple was the main issue. So it came down to me and another guy bidding on it, and I was the underbidder. So he won it, but it turns out he messaged me today, and it's someone I'm friends with. So, you got to just be happy for, if someone finds a book you've been looking for, you got to just realize that there's 30 other guys hunting that same book. So I'm happy for him. I know he's going to give that book a good home, and, I'll just keep my eyes out for another one. All right, so I kind of went looking into some UK key books. So here, Ian, you can see the UK stuff still goes pretty cheap. So this is first appearance of Black Cat for $17 with $20 shipping from the UK. So it's like a newspaper, newsprint. These are magazine sized, so they're large, but still key book, and still it's vintage. It's from the 70s. So I think what's that say? 1979, I think. So. Talked about that one already, or is this a different one? Oh, this is a different one. Okay, yeah, this is another Werewolf by Night 32 pence edition. This one looks a little bit higher grade. This one went for almost $1,300. So yeah, I'm not too familiar with where the Werewolf by Night 32 is selling right now, the American version, but yeah, can't be probably too far off, because I know these UK variants UK price variants have been creeping up pretty quick. This is kind of a funny Brazilian photo cover. I was surprised to see that it sold for $100. Not a key or anything, but there were a few different of these Batman photo covers that they did in Brazil. Some of them where they had Batman hanging off the side of the publisher's, a building, e-ball. And so, kind of just like a funny slice of Brazilian comic history. All right, so this was a funny sale. This was just a random lot of, it says Italian foreign comics, and I thought I struck gold when I found this, because in the middle of this is one of the most sought after, and this one actually looked to be in really good condition. It was a Mexican non-canon Spiderman issue, the Satanica issue, and these are from the famous non-canon Spiderman run. And I thought, with no description, nothing saying Mexican or non-canon, I was hoping maybe this book would go for $50 to $75. I think I bid up to $150, thinking I'd get it super cheap, but somebody else, there's obviously multiple people looking at it. So this one, even at $243 was a very solid price. You could probably turn around, slab that one, and turn around and sell it for $700-800, just that single non-canon Spider-Man issue. Talked about that one already. All right, so here we have Fantastic Four 49. This is a pocket book from England. Pretty high price, because I believe these are all from the 80s, and these are just kind of just like pocket book reprints of key stories. So $80, that's a strong price for this book. You could probably go on eBay in the UK and find one for probably closer to $20, but then this one looks like it is in the US already based on that shipping price. So once you ship something from the UK, you're spending another $20 right there. So you're not really too far off, I guess, once it's shipped here. This is a great deal for a Silver Surfer 4, Thor versus Silver Surfer, for $26, but then $30 shipping from the UK. So for about, right around $60, you got yourself a magazine size key of Silver Surfer 4. Great cover, great looking book. Not a bad price, in today's market. Here we had a Star Wars 1. I guess that was in super high grade condition, and it had the like the X-wing, paper airplane in it, and the insert for this one sold for $250 with $50 shipping from UK. So that was a strong price. I know there's a lot of guys building the Star Wars set, so this book definitely sold for a nice price. Here's a cheap one. This was the Hulk Annual 1 Steranko cover. Sold for $16 with $20 shipping from the UK. Another cheap one, Dracula Lives. This uses the Dracula 1 cover, but it's actually issue number 4 in the UK. So about $27, $28 shipped from the UK. So not a bad deal. I believe this one is just cover only. The interior story is of a later Dracula issue. Another was Avengers, probably weekly. Avengers 62, first appearance of the Black Knight. This one was best offer accepted. So this book sold for less than $20 with $20 shipping from the UK. Another one, Kang, Avengers 5, first appearance of Kang. So this is like I don't know if this cover was redrawn. I know it's flipped, and that's obvious, but the art is definitely different. So I'm not sure if it was from a redrawn cover or where this art came from. It's definitely not as good looking as the original art, but someone got this for less than $26, so not a bad deal. This was a lot of the weekly UK issues. This sold for less than $30 for all these. So yeah, you can get these UK weeklies still cheap, and there's quite a few keys in there. They aren't very well respected by the UK market, and they're just considered basically their reprints, because a lot of the older UK books had UK price variants. But they're underappreciated, which normally means it's not a bad thing to invest in. This was a steal, even though it doesn't look like to be super high grade or anything. It's Marvel Super Spiderman 178, first appearance of the Punisher. This is a really cool book. They've gotten kind of hard to find. So for $33 and $36 shipping, this was not a bad deal at all. This book probably would sell in easily $100, $200 range. If they would have, all they had to do was just put Spider-Man 129 in somewhere in that title, and it would have sold for a lot more. So yeah, if you're ever selling a foreign key, you can use the native numbering system like Marvel Super Spider-Man 178. But if you want the most eyes on it, also include what it prints or reprints, whatever you want to call it, so that people will realize that is the foreign edition of a key comic. Here's another. Let's see, we got his first appearance of Morbius, so Spider-Man 101, and it was actually spread out in 2 issues. So it was, Spider-Man Comics Weekly 139 and 140 prints, ASM 101. So if you wanted the complete story, you need both of these issues. For $40, not a bad sale, but then you got $40 shipping, so that kind of kills it right there. So $80 total for those two. That's kind of bordering on starting to get a little pricey. This is a real strong sale for a Silver Surfer 1, kind of fairly low-grade looking copy, but this is from Spain, repainted digest cover, or digest-size repainted cover, great books, black and white interior. A lot of these, they redid every single panel and kind of adjusted them. Sometimes they added art to them, sometimes they zoomed in, they cropped out. So it's real interesting to kind of flip through to see how they changed it, because they're pretty thick, but they only print 2 issues. So they really kind of spread the story out over one thick digest book. So for $250, that's a really high sale for this book. I've sold one, or I've sold a few in the past for right around $100. Most of them I think were in better condition than this. So 250. That's a good price. So it's a good one to maybe consider hunting down if you're looking to sell a couple, because obviously it's commanding a premium. But these were printed in the 60s, so they're fairly old books. So they are vintage, and depending on what year they're from, some of them were painted by Lopez Espy. Some were painted by an artist named Enrich, I believe. But they're good looking books. This was actually my sale. Tomb of Dracula 10, French edition. First appearance of Blade. This is a French, like real thick book. I think I had offered this up for sale for $70 on my Instagram. Didn't have any bites, so then I just put it on eBay and had 4 bids up to $81. So it wasn't the best presenting copy. Had some issues, but it wasn't bad looking either. So $81, I was happy with that. That's right around what I thought it should sell for. We've got the Danish Amazing Spider-Man 129. This is a red cover from the 90s. This one sold for $120. The asking original price was $250. That's not a bad price. I paid $100 for mine, about a year and a half ago. And I heard from a Swedish collector that's pretty, well in the know about all these European books, that these are actually not that prevalent. They're pretty hard to find. So that's good to know. So for $120, someone got a tough to find Danish book. Talked about that one already. So these things are still selling like crazy. The X-Men 1 Campbell sketch variant, $350. So definitely still getting a lot of money for those. 9/8 loot chest Harley Quinn Adam Hughes variant, no underwear, from Germany. So that one sold for almost $400. So that was a solid sale right there. I'm not exactly sure what these sell for in the American edition, so I'll probably look into that, because it might be pretty close. I'm not exactly sure, but $400. Somebody probably paid $15-$20 for that one. Got it graded, got 9.8, and made all kinds of money on that one. Once again, Fantastic Four 48 and 49. The seller keeps selling these as a combo. This one sold for a little bit more, $154. I talked about this in my last sales video. I think one had sold for a little bit less than this. Still a little surprising. Thought they should sell for more, but hey, the buyer, I'm sure, is happy with that price. 143 Star Wars 1. This one looks pretty beat up, so that's a strong price for that book. This is a Cliffhanger 12 Campbell variant. I don't know if there's like an Italian only cover or why this one sells for such a premium, but I know there's people hunting these, and I've tried to find it. I never really put much effort into finding one, but $250, that's a lot of money for something that probably doesn't cost that much in Italy. So something to keep an eye out for. Ghost Rider 1 from Italy, best offer accepted, $120. Not a bad deal. These Ghost Rider, Marvel Spotlight 5, and Ghost Rider 1 books will just keep going up in price. This was an Ultimate Fallout 4 variant. This one's from Italy. So this one was printed just 1 year after the American version. It sold for $550, so that's a strong price on that one. And this one looks like it was signed by Pacelli, or might be signed by multiple people. I don't know. I only see one signature on there, but it says 4 signed, so I'm not sure who else would have signed it. But not a bad deal. That's a good price, $550 for that book. CGC 9.8 Delato Italian for $89. That seems pretty cheap. And here we have a 9.2 ASM 300, sold for $391 plus almost $50 shipping from the UK. Actually, I would say that's not a bad price. For a guaranteed 9.2, these books aren't easy. They're all black. If there is, I think someone finally got a 9.8 on one. recently, but I know guys have been trying, and 9.4 was the highest forever. So now there is, I believe, a 9.8 on the census. So I don't know if that's kind of driven some of the prices down for some of the lower grades or not. Probably not, but it's still, it's a strong sale. And this is a real pretty Captain Marvel 14 Virgin variant, first Kamala Khan Italian edition. So this, I think it's what's called the Connor variant. I think this is it's an all foil cover, and the picture doesn't really do it justice. I have one of these, and it's really a pretty cover. I don't even like Captain America really, or don't really care about Kamala Khan, just because I've never really looked into it, her story, or read any of her comics. But I got one of these just because it's just a good looking book. And it's something, if I decided down the road I need a little bit of extra cash to buy something, it's something I know I can probably flip pretty easy. So this is $60 plus $25 shipping from Italy. This one was kind of surprising to me, and this is just like a reprint from, I think, the 90s, from Brazil. It sold for $46. It's a reprint of Adventure Comics 247, which... they did an original, I think it was printed in the late 50s or early 60s by E-Ball. So yeah, this one, is definitely just a reprint, kind of like it's called Invictus. It's like a series, I believe they're digest sized, just kind of reprinted classic stories. But $46, that's a solid sale. I will have to pick up one of these eventually, because I've been working on Adventure Comics 247 set, so, I'm not going to pay $46 for one, but we'll see. All right, so we got some more Newtons here. Silver Surfer 3, no poster, sold for $80. Avengers 8, with poster, $150, which I was kind of surprised by. I thought that would go for a bit more, especially with Kang, obviously making his way into the MCU. This, I've only ever seen one of these ever pop up for sale, and this one doesn't look like in the best condition, so maybe that had something to do with it, but still a tough book. Another Newton, almost $200 for this one, and this one had the iron-on that comes with it, classic kind of Steranko poster, great yellow cover, so that one sold for premium. Kind of surprised that one sold for more than this one, but you just never know with these foreign comics. Batman Adventures 9 in Germany, which is actually Batman Adventures 12 in the US. This one looks to be a fairly nice copy. Sold for $128. And this is Incredible Hulk #1, Newton comic. This one did not have the poster inside, so this one sold for $263. Russian Spiderman 300, sold for $89. That's a very high price for that book. Yeah, you could have bought these for less than $30, from probably an American seller. And I was selling mine, I think, for $30. I had, I think, 4 or 5 of them that I got from Russia. And the Russian books were not hard to get, before the war started in Russia. Now they are almost impossible to get, although some people say they're still getting their books across. I've had several orders that I have not received, and I don't think I'm ever going to get. They're just, the tracking numbers just never did anything, never moved, never left Russia. So we'll see. If they do show up, I will update you guys, because I did order a few of the Werewolf by Night and the Tomb of Dracula Russian books, because just to have for my set. But so I do think the Russian prices are going to go up for the comics, especially the ones that weren't, kind of just printed on demand into oblivion, like the Hulk 181, the AF-15. Those were early on, and they just kept reprinting them. But this, some of these newer ones that they made, I don't believe they even had a chance to really reprint that many of them. And now Marvel has pulled all the licenses from Russia. So there won't be any more Russian, keys probably coming out in the near future, because of the war and everything, Marvel decided it's probably best for them just to pull out of there. So hopefully you got what you could from Russia, because they're not going to be putting out much new stuff, if any, Marvel Marvel stuff now. This is another one I was bidding on. This probably still went cheap. This was a Conan 1 from Mexico. This is the first time they printed it in Mexico. Don't see many of these. I probably should have bid higher on it. I'm not a Conan fan, really. I just have a bunch of his number ones from around the world, so this one would have been a good one to add to the collection. But at the time, I just decided it was more than I wanted to spend. Spider-Man 1 from Argentina with the poster, centerfold poster, sold for $36. Anything from Argentina is pretty tough to get, and not to say that it's rare, but there just aren't many Argentinian sellers selling to foreign comic buyers, so it's just the books can be tough to get. Daredevil 1, Newton, Australian, with poster, $912. And I think this is the last one. This is Spider-Man 300 from France. This one sold for $113. And you can't really see, and this is probably my second favorite of the foreign Spider-Man 300s. I like the Italian, the all-black cover, and I really like this red cover too. It almost looks kind of like the Italian, but with red instead of black. It doesn't get much love. I don't see them come up for sales too often. So for $113, that's a good price. I think I've actually got one on the way coming from France. I've got to actually check on that. But yeah, not a bad sale. So I think that is it. Like I said, I'm trying to keep these under 20 minutes. I'm sure this one went over. I seem to go over every single time I make one of these videos, but there's just a lot of sales going on, so I just trying to track as many of the sales as I can. But hopefully you found some of this stuff interesting, and I will just keep an eye on the market. All right, thanks, bye.